his shop. He can run it
He
the way
owns the
he'd
show.
like. That's right. He can ultimately do that, VK. And so we'll all watch and see how much or how little he explains his rationale today.
Right. Thanks, Kevin. The amazing thing is, when we're talking about banning, suspensions, and mystery, it's never been the Washington Post, New York Times, CNN, forever. And so this is the first time there's even been some interest over there. The other thing I got to give him credit for this, at least it's not a shadow ban. Shadow ban has a mystery. Well, why is such and such only getting 3 retweets? Why is such and such not being seen? Why is this buried? He came out and announced it right away. Although I don't think it was the best move he's ever had.
No, not the best move at all. And what you just watched was Fox and Friends reacting to the hell that broke loose on Twitter last night. So last night, billionaire Elon Musk went on a suspension rampage. Why? Because he could. Here's a list of the folks who were suspended. You have Ryan Mack of the New York Times, Donnie O'Sullivan of CNN, Drew Harwell of the Washington Post, Matt Binder of Mashable, Micah Lee of The Intercept, Steve Herman of Voice of America, and independent journalist Aaron Rupar, Keith Oberman, and Tony Webster. And that's coming from a report from CNBC. Now, Elon claims that these folks were suspended because they doxed him. Let us be clear, doxing is never okay from any side. But what these journalists did basically was reporting. It was not doxing. So we see right now, he says some doxing rules apply to journalists as to everyone else. So he gets to define what doxing is and what doxing is not on his platform, obviously. So the doxing that Elon is referring to is the coverage around the recent banned account, Elon Jet. And this account posted public data of where Elon's private jets were flying, and it was public information. Meanwhile, Elon has reinstated the accounts of various kind of white supremacist types, those who tout hate speech. Let's put them up as well so everybody can see. We got the former president himself, Marjorie Taylor Greene, the Congresswoman, the Babylon Bee, Jordan Peterson, Project Veritas, Megan Murphy. Yeah, he gave all of them their accounts back, but then he decided he was going to suspend journalists. Elon did join a Twitter space, and he was asked the question about the bans, and he chickened out and left, like anybody that is less than a toddler would do. He did a poll for his audience, which even his followers were in support of, let's put that up, of unsuspending those accounts. So here's his unsuspended accounts who doxed my exact location in real time. And you see where the people were. I'm sure he was not expecting that result. I was taught a long time ago, never ask a question that you don't have the answer to already, especially something like this, Francesca, in public, and it just really blew up in his face.
Like it has been this entire time. I mean, I'm honestly convinced that even the people who like Elon Musk are, first of all, way overrepresented on the internet because, again, a lot of them are actually bots. This is a guy who says he wants to get rid of bots, except he wants to keep and grow all the ones that are just, thirsting over his every single bad joke, right? And so, like, I think in reality, and we saw this in the beginning of the week, in reality, in the real world, people hate your guts, Elon Musk. And the fact that you're a so-called free speech warrior who is using his purchasing of a platform, which is the total opposite of free speech. I'm just gonna buy something and then have all the speech I want and then own the conversation incessantly. That's not free speech. But we saw it again in person at the Chappelle show. People hate him. People don't like him. And yes, people don't want these folks, these journalists, to be banned. And finally, Fox and Friends, man, it's apples and oranges here. They're basically comparing bans of people who were openly targeting, harassing, and getting people killed, getting people's address leaked, right? See, they're comparing that to an account that follows Elon Musk's private jet when it lifts off and when it lands and where it goes. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about Elon's private jet. And by the way, Elon tried to buy that person off. Yeah, months ago, he offered this kid $50,000 if he would stop tracking his private jet. And the kid was like, nah, I don't want that. I think it's kind of important information. It's interesting to know where you're going and where you're coming to, and also the amount of fossil fuels you're burning in the process. And so what did he do? He spent $19 billion just so he could ban Elon's jet by buying Twitter. What an idiot. So like, it's just, Nina, this is gonna get people killed. That's all I have to say. Like, it's funny, it's stupid. I'm tired of talking about it. But at the end of the day, letting all of these white supremacists and banning all the folks who are actually disseminating real information is gonna get people killed once again.
Yeah, it's wrong, and he knows it's wrong. And again, what the person put out was public information. He didn't hack anything. It was information that is out there in the public, where this man's jet was going to and from. And all of this just reminds me of the famous words of Lord Action: power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. Great men are almost always bad men. You better go ahead and say, Lord Action did say that.